But we have to start in this three-way title race, the Etihad, Manchester City against Arsenal. It finished 0-0. I think, I'll just give you my quick 30-second summation. I thought the first half, both teams were actually afraid to make mistakes and cancel each other out. It was dull. It wasn't even like, oh, look, tactical battle. No, it was just dull and not well executed. Second half, business picked up a little bit, not that much. In the end, for me, this is definitely 2 points dropped for Man City if they want to think in terms of the title race.
I agree.
Right? Captain Obvious here.
Yep. I totally agree. I think your analysis is fair. I think the first 45 was a boring game. It was hard to watch. It was dull. The second half opened up. From a footballer's point of view and an Arsenal's point of view, they'd done a job on City. They were in low blocks. They just wanted City to go wide. They didn't allow them to get any spaces. De Bruyne didn't really get a kick. Foden didn't really get a kick. So when you're Arsenal and go to the Etihad in a really big game, to come away from there with a point, it's kept their momentum alive. It's kept them unbeaten. Gives them confidence going into the next game. They'll beat Luton. They'll beat them by 5 or 6 or 7.
Oh, stop with that.
But it puts a bit of pressure on Man City now because the home team and the way they destroyed Arsenal last season, they should have been, or if they want to win the title, that's a game where I think we both agree they've dropped a couple of points.
I think we have to, or at least I want to, praise Mikel Arteta here.
Yep.
Not just because he played the lineup, which I think is the right setup. In other words, the one, at least for big games, in other words, the one with Georgie in midfield, with Declan Rice.
Yep.
Gabriel Jesus. I like Kai Havertz at center forward. If you want to have Jesus in the team because of his work rate, because of all the things he does, fantastic.
Yep.
But then put him out wide. Maybe sacrifice Martinelli, bring him on late when he's fresh.
Yep.
That plan almost worked if Trossard had hit a different pass.
Yep.
And I actually thought Pep didn't find the countermeasures to that.
I think he put his players on to try and do that, but Grealish was disappointing. Grealish is starting to become very predictable now. I'm watching Jack Grealish, and I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. He doesn't take players on. He's very predictable. He gets it on his right foot. He squares the right back up, but he just keeps going back inside. I know why he does it. I spoke to Jacob Murphy at Newcastle about it, and he says the reason why they do that and they play Grealish on the left is you try to suck all the players over to that side for the big transition over to the other side. But then when he come on, didn't really do much. Doku was disappointed when he come on. As I said, Foden, Grealish didn't really get a kick. I thought Haaland was very poor. But I'd put that down to giving Arsenal a lot of credit on how they managed the spaces. Because last year, if you remember, he came up with this crazy plan, Arteta, of going man for man all over the pitch. And he left Rob Holding with Erling Haaland and he destroyed him. The tactics yesterday were spot on. Might not have been a great watch, but a professional performance.
Yeah, so you said the tactics were spot on, so we've praised Arteta.
Yeah.
Equally, Pep is Pep. Did he just say, okay, I know what Arteta's doing, rather than fiddle with my team tactically? You know, I mean, I don't just mean like bringing on different wingers.
Yeah.
I am going to go and try to get my guys just to execute better.
Yeah.
And because ultimately, I'm not, you know, is there a moment when you just put your faith in the players and say, look, they've got the plan to stop you, Don.
Yeah.
But Don, you're better than he is.
Yes.
You just beat him.
Yeah, sometimes you can overanalyze the role that Pep played in the second half, because sometimes when you've got a team like Arsenal who are so deep and have got, or not allowing you any spaces whatsoever, you can't tactically tweak anything apart from getting the ball out wide a bit quicker and saying to your players, I need you to take players on. Doku, I need you to get to the byline. Jack, I need you to take players on. Pointless coming square, because Arsenal were just shifting across the pitch.
Well, it felt that was one thing that Grealish wasn't doing. He was, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
If the ball gets to him, everything stops to a crawl, and then I expect him, all right, you're either going to hit that diagonal ball that you talked about, or you're going to take somebody on and fall over.
But he's done neither, did he?
But he's
done neither for quite a while. That's what I'm saying about him being predictable. He's lost that ability, or he's lost his confidence to take players on, or it's the manager's instructions to keep hold of the ball.
And you have an issue with Erling Haaland's finishing here. We were talking off air.
I do, because I won't throw him under the bus, but I've spoke to Premier League strikers, great Premier League strikers, and they say, or he said, his finishing is very, very scruffy. My issue with Erling Haaland, and I haven't really got one because I can't have one because he's a genius banging in 50 goals every single season, but I think he would take criticism on board, not from me, but from other strikers of the past. And I think when you watch him, he's obsessed with taking everything on his left foot. The goal that he should have scored against Man United, remember he raised his left foot, crossbar height. You go into Rolodex of finishes, Gab, it's a nod-in goal.
It was
the chance that he missed against Arsenal, it's a right foot finish. It's a tap-in finish. He's obsessed with his left foot because that's his strong foot.
All right, let's stick with Haaland for a minute. Obviously, he puts his left foot, he prioritizes his left foot, right? He has said in the past he needs to improve his heading.
Yep.
He hasn't said I need to improve my right foot, but clearly his left foot's a lot stronger. I mean,
Yeah.
that chance in particular, the one at the far post, where, like, he looks completely uncoordinated, right?
Yeah.
When the ball comes across, I thought this is actually maybe he switched off a little bit. He misjudged something. There's no way. He doesn't even hit it badly with his left foot.
He misses it. Misses the ball completely.
Right? That's something that happens to footballers in games.
Time to time.
Right. Beyond that, in terms of his performance, I thought Saliba and Gabriel both did a very, very good job on him.
Yeah, I agree. They were aggressive. But it comes back to the positioning because if you're Saliba and you're Gabriel and Haaland's got you on the halfway line with wide players, and you mentioned Foden and Jack Grealish and Doku when he came on, it's difficult, but the centre-backs played on the edge of their own 18-yard box, so they were allowing no space in behind. So therefore, 99 times out of 100, Haaland's standing in front of you, and there's nowhere for him to spin because normally he spins off on his left side. So they played him really well. What I loved about Gabriel's performance, he was really aggressive verbally. Even after the game, they were having a little bit of push and a shove. I don't mind that. Then they sort of high-fived after Pep sort of calmed it all down. But it tells you that that's the way to play against Haaland. Be aggressive against him, put him off his game, tackle him, be strong.
Now, the issue, though, with playing deep, and it didn't feel to me like Arsenal were playing super deep.
Well, they had 28% possession.
It felt like they didn't have a lot of the ball.
Territorially, they were very deep,
but
for a reason.
They didn't have a lot of the ball, but I also thought they also, when you have Havertz and Jesus, who I think off the ball work as well as any two forwards, if I consider Havertz a forward in the league, right?
And Saka.
And Saka on the other side, who maybe wasn't, didn't do as much as you would expect on the ball, but off the ball.
They sacrificed themselves, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which goes against the grain, which is hard to do because that's time on the training ground. So when you're a team like Arsenal and you play a certain way and you're front-footed and you're entertaining, to completely change the game plan for one game against City, that's hard work on the training ground. That's a manager putting in place with his technical staff. It could be shadow play. It could be any number of patterns of play when you haven't got the ball because all these flair players have sacrificed themselves for one game and got the point.
Right. I mean, they might sacrifice themselves again in certain games if necessary. I mean, it is a skill being able to play more than one day.
But not to the certain extent they've done it against Man City because next game they'll be on the front foot again.
Of course.
That's the way they play. So to do that, I mean, sacrifice himself in terms of the game plan to say, right, today we're going to be super defensive, we're going to play counter-attacking football. That's not really the Arsenal way. But to do it against City at the Etihad is very impressive, I think.
And to do it with 2 training sessions, because let's not forget, most of these players would have been back on Wednesday night, which means they would have had Thursday and Friday to train. Saturday, obviously, you're traveling, and it's just a walkthrough, right?
Yep.
That also, I think, speaks to the players understanding the moment and Arteta being able to get his game plan across in a concise way. Because, by the way, sitting deep, please correct me if I'm wrong here, it's not just like, okay, guys, everybody park in the 6-yard box. No, there's more to it than that.
Of course there is, yeah.
Because if you sit too deep, we've seen, I mean, with the likes of Rodri and De Bruyne and others, City can beat you from shots from further out.
See, Pep would love that game again, and he'd love to have this imaginary game where he plays it again and Arsenal go with Man City. That's what he really wants because he knows his team would open them up. Yeah. We'll never know the answers. Arsenal might beat them, City might beat them. Chances are, if it's an open game, Man City win. So his tactics were perfect, Arteta.
But I'm wondering rather than looking for 10 billion cutbacks, which is essentially the City bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so effective and almost impossible to defend. Would you have liked to see, I mean, we saw Kovacic shoot from distance. Would you have liked to see more of that?
More creativity, Gab, I think. I think when you make substitutions and you bring wide players on like Doku and Grealish, their job is to take fullbacks on. Their job is to get in behind because hardly any point in the game Haaland got in behind. Any midfield players got in behind. So when Arsenal are so deep, the only way you can get in behind is in 1v1s. If you've got ability like Grealish and Doku, you have to take players on. Take them on, twist them up 1v1, get to the byline, stand some crosses for Haaland. De Bruyne, bang them in low across the 6-yard box. They never got in those positions. Arsenal never allowed them to. So that's where I thought, which I'm not really a fan of when you see Guardiola schooling Grealish on the pitch after the game. I don't think it's for show because Pep's he's more intelligent than that. But I think he was saying to Grealish, listen, I bring you on for a reason. I bring you on not to be safe. I bring you on not to play a side-yard ball. I bring you on to take players on. That's what he wanted from his wide plays. They couldn't do it. They weren't good enough.
I wonder, I mean, you mentioned at the attacking end, you mentioned maybe Alvarez.
I thought he should have come on. I thought when Haaland got the head injury with about, 5-6 minutes to go, I think Pep had a word, get stripped, you're coming on. And it was one of them games where Alvarez, because we've seen him over the years or months, score some decent goals from distance. He's got that in his locker where you ain't getting in behind. You need a moment of magic. No one's producing. Why not give him 5?
On the other hand, it is the final minutes of the game, and you put a ball into the mixer. You would rather have the giant Norwegian.
Yeah, but I was thinking from distance.
No, I get
shot
that.
from distance
right? But
from
you
Haaland.
take off Haaland from 4 or 5 with. I mean,
But you can smell it though, Gab. If you're watching the game and you're thinking Haaland's getting no joy off Gabriel, he's getting no joy off Saliba.
Yeah, but there's only a few minutes to go.
I know.
Right?
So try something different. No, I would.
I don't know. I wouldn't have taken off Haaland there. I want to take it back to him though. You mentioned about the scruffy goals, right? And the clean finishing and whatever else. We've seen some. Historically, there's some strikers who have extremely clean technique. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lewandowski.
Yeah. Kane.
Leicester with his head. Kane, another one. Others who also score a ton of goals. I mean, Luis Suarez is one example, where his technique is anything but clean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's.
I know. I know what you mean. Right? I know what you mean.
If you have the shot volume,
Yeah.
because you get yourself into so many positions all the time.
Yeah.
If your technique isn't as clean, if maybe you finish 1 in 3 rather than 1 in 2,
Yeah.
it still adds up the same way, right?
Yeah, my only problem with Erling Haaland, and I shouldn't have one, but I have because I watched the game, I studied the game, I love the game, and I've got an opinion on the game, is when I see Erling Haaland, it's all left foot. Doesn't score many with his right foot. And there was a chance against Man United where it got flipped over towards the far post. He went for a left foot volley at about 10 feet in the air. If you go into the simplest finish,
He got up pretty high.
Yeah, but he missed it. But if you go for the simplest finish, if you go into a Rolodex of finishing very quickly,
Right.
you go nod it in head, chest it in head.
Right.
The one against Arsenal yesterday, it comes across the far post. He's trying to sort his feet because he's desperate to get it on his left. It's the right foot tapping. So he can improve on his right side, but I think it's a decision making because he's so obsessed with left foot finishes. You've got to back yourself to score that on your right foot or score with a diving header.
But I think
Can't
maybe
everything be on your left?
this is where we remind ourselves that we're still talking about a very, very young, a
Amazing
young player,
player.
especially as far as center forwards are concerned. Especially those big physical center forwards, generally they take a few years, right? Harry Kane, we had Ben Davies on our podcast recently, and he said even when he was when Harry Kane was young and he was on loan everywhere, he was playing last 5 minutes, you could see he was a tremendous finisher.
Yeah.
Maybe there were other aspects of his game he needed to improve, or maybe he just had a bunch of managers who were like, "What, Harry Kane? He can't be good." And it took a while for somebody to come along like Pochettino to figure that out. But I guess what I'm getting at is, especially for that type of center forward, there can be a different development curve, and if Haaland gets better in the air. If he gets those things, I mean, he's going from somebody who scored 50 goals a season to sky's the limit.
Yeah. But right. It's a slight criticism, but it's not a worry because you know the type of player he is. He's got the attitude and the charisma to brush anything off. I remember him saying a couple of months back when he was in not great form, because he was coming back from an injury and he looked very rusty. And he had a couple of efforts and they were way off. And you go, yeah, but we've been there. Like, it's his first game back, give him time. All of a sudden, he bags 5 against Luton.
Right.
That's what he does because he gets the volume of chances and he's a good finisher. I'm not criticising him for bad technique. I think it's more the bad decision making. And he can get better. And like you said, if he does get better, what's he going to hit? 50, 60. I mean,
Well, he doesn't need me to defend him, but I will say, though, in this game, the focus on Haaland, because of the chance he missed, or two chances, really, that he missed, he did tie up both center backs.
yeah.
And that should, in theory, create more opportunities, whether it's De Bruyne running through the middle, Bernardo Silva, starting in a wide area, coming inside. And I thought those guys were missing too. And I just wonder if maybe the focus on Haaland, that is something that City could have exploited better. And these other guys are quiet games, and we don't talk about it. We talk about Grealish because we saw him.
Well, I think Bernardo Silva made a great point after the game, and he went, it's our obligation, it's our duty to get Erling Haaland chances, and we didn't do that today. And I thought that was brilliant from a midfield player saying that, because it's true, Gab. When you play in midfield, you've got to do everything in midfield, right? But one of your main jobs is to supply your centre forward with chances. Man City didn't do that. They couldn't. Arsenal stopped them. So Foden never really got any 1-2s going or balls down the side for Haaland. Grealish didn't do it. Doku didn't do it. De Bruyne didn't do it. So they were a little bit guilty of not supplying Haaland with enough chances. They supplied him a one shot, or two shots if you include the fresh air one. I think they had one shot on target.
I guess what I'm driving at, though, in a game like this, when
So it's
Haaland's
not all on
finishing
him.
isn't on, he's still doing so much, stretching the two center backs so much, forcing Declan Rice to play deeper.
I get all that, but
this is when I expect, all right, you other midfielders, who we know you can score a lot of goals because you have scored a lot of goals.
I get all that, but we're going to focus on the chance that he
collective.
missed, aren't we?
Yeah, no.
We'll get everything else, what he does for the team.
More broadly, with the fact that City obviously won a treble last year, do we get our expectations maybe a little bit higher than what they should be, in the sense that it is actually very, very difficult to repeat? I mean, is this City team worse than last year? I'll just throw that out there.
I think it's worse because I think they've let a really underrated player go in Gundogan, who Pep's first signing. I've always watched players with a really high football IQ. He's the one, I think, over the years that stood out to me, who can play any position. He scores in big games. He'll play as a false 9. He'll play as an 8. He'll play off the right, play off the left, play as a 10. Always affects big games. They've lost his intelligence. They've lost his craft. They've lost the creativity there. So Kovacic and Rodri, two completely different types of players. You still got Foden, still got De Bruyne. I get that. But whenever Gundogan played in the very biggest of games, I always thought he affected it.
I mean, they're starting from such a high level.
I mean, they're off the double treble.
Yeah, exactly. But when you look at it, obviously, again, Ederson wasn't there.
Walker was a miss.
Walker was definitely a miss in this game, but I'm just talking about sort of this season compared to last season. Look, overall, who's been performing on the same level? I think the back line in general hasn't been on the same level. I mean, not that Ruben Dias and Akanji and Ake have been poor, but I think certainly Ruben Dias, I don't think, is the player he was last year for whatever reason. Gundogan is missing. Kovacic or Matheus Nunes, whoever plays in there, isn't going to give you what Gundogan can do.
Yeah.
I think Rodri's still exceptional, but I think this team's more Rodri dependent.
Yeah.
Maybe because Gundogan isn't there than they were before. De Bruyne, Foden, I think, is better maybe than he was last year. Again, looking at his body of work over the season as a whole.
And De Bruyne is now 32.
De Bruyne is a year older. Grealish isn't on the level he was at last year.
Doku's raw. Doku's new and raw.
Doku's pretty darn good. I just think it's very, very difficult. I don't want to sound like Pep, but like when you put the bar so high, it's extremely difficult, especially when you've got some pieces changing.
Definitely. Right? But we trust in Pep, don't we? That's probably why we look at Man City and look at Pep the
genius. That's why they're held to the highest standard.
Absolutely.
All right. This is where we play the percentages game.
Go on then.
So, as it stands,
yeah,
Liverpool have a 2-point lead over Arsenal and a 3-point lead over Manchester City.
Yeah. We've got a better goal difference by 5 over City.
I don't believe in goal difference, but it is relevant. No, I don't.
Why not?
Because it's not a thing. I mean, I know it decides the title. It decides the title, so it is a thing. Yeah. But it shouldn't. In my view. In my view, teams finish level in points or something at stake. You should have a 1-game playoff. I think it's the only fair way to determine it. But whatever.
I like that. To be fair.
So where do you put the percentages? We were talking about fair before.
About the supercomputer.
Okay, all right. Here's pure marketing, right?
Rubbish.
Okay, some PR nerd says, "Oh, let's get some free thing." I get these emails on my phone all the time, right? And there's some PR people saying, "Hey, don't you want to talk about this?" But it is a talking point. the supercomputer.
Let's
whatever
give
it
Arsenal
takes
a
itself.
1 in 5 chance of winning the league.
I think they had Arsenal about 18%. They had
Which is
City
about
around
1 in 5 in my book.
35%, about 1 in 3, right?
Yeah.
1 in 5, 1 in 3. Liverpool were close to 50%, so
Yeah.
close to 1 in 2.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No.
No.
How can
All
you,
right,
how
give me
can-
your
well, how
percentages
can you
then,
give
Paul.
Arsenal a 1 in 5 chance of winning the league?
Well, why not? If
Well, they're
that's
sitting
what
in
you
second. They're playing well. They're winning games.
think. Right, but if you think, because there's no more head-to-heads left, right?
Yeah.
So if you think City are a better team than Arsenal, which I think you and I think,
Yeah.
if you think Liverpool are equal to Arsenal,
They'll win
if not
every
better,
home game, Liverpool, because of the Klopp factor.
are Liverpool better than Arsenal? Or are they equal?
I
Roughly equal?
think they are just better.
Okay.
'Cause
So,
they're-
so sorry, Don. If you think City are better than Arsenal, then it follows
but-
that you must
but
think
you
that
can't-
City must be
but
able
you
to make
can't-
up 1
but
point on
but
Arsenal.
you can be just better than someone. You don't have to be by a country mile better than someone. I mean, City at this
You think
point
City are
behind.
just better than Arsenal?
Yeah,
Okay. And Liverpool are just better.
than Arsenal.
Right. than
City,
Arsenal.
I'm not sure.
So if Liverpool are just better than Arsenal and Liverpool have a 2-point lead, what's wrong with giving them, like the supercomputer did, a 47% chance?
Oh no! I'm not saying on Liverpool's point of view.
Okay, so Liverpool's fine. You
Liverpool's.
give-
I've got Liverpool on 50%
Okay, perfect.
because of a 2-point lead, because of the Klopp factor at Anfield. They'll win every
Yep.
single game there. They won't lose any games at Anfield.
Right.
They've got easier games in the running. Arsenal are a couple of points behind, but they've got really, really difficult
away
away
games, yeah.
fixtures. And City or Man City, who can string with 9 games to go, they can win 8 out of 9.
Okay, so what would you give City?
I would give City 30 and Arsenal 20.
Sorry, didn't you say a minute ago that you were angry because the computer goes gave?
Because the computer's just, we're all guessing.
The computer and Don Hutchison come up with the same result, and yet the
Rubbish.
computer's wrong. Oh my goodness, Don. Yeah, no. The one thing I would add is when we look at who's got the easier run in, who's got the tougher run in, we often forget this. And you were a player, you've been there, done that. Not everybody has to be Gary O'Neill who gets booked so late in the season so we can go and watch the Masters, right? Like you did when you was at Middlesbrough. But there are some teams that, oh look, we thought we were going to get relegated. Now we're safe. Or we were relegated a long time ago. Now
Let's
we don't
play
really
free.
give a crap, right?
Yeah, let's play free. Or there's a team that wants to win so bad, they'll do anything to win, and sometimes they do.
But I'm saying is when we look at these games late in the season,
Yeah.
and it's tough to predict, obviously, because teams might get relegated or teams might stay up a couple of games before. The teams I don't want to face late in the season are teams who are who are fighting to avoid. I don't want to play Everton. I don't want to play Forest.
I do. City
Okay,
do. Liverpool
Everton
do.
are on the slide. Fine. I'd rather.
No, I didn't mean Everton. I mean you want to play them teams down there because there's a higher percentage chance you're going to beat them. Like if you go,
But because I think they're going to be
if you
more
go the next-
motivated. I think they're going to be a lot more motivated
Yeah, but they're not
than
good, Gab.
some team who's 10th or 11th.
But they're in the bottom 5 for a reason because they're rubbish.
Yeah, you know what? There's teams that are 10th, 11th, 12th who are also rubbish in the Premier League. And
But if you look at the next round of fixtures,
Wolves have won their season, right? Wolves are staying up. Wolves have been phenomenal.
loads
right?
of injuries. Huang's injured.
fine.
Neto's injured.
Right. But I want to play Wolves because Wolves aren't going down. Wolves have had a successful
I want to
season.
play Sheffield United and Burnley.
Because they'll probably already be down. I don't know.
No, I think when you look at the next round of fixtures, up the top of my head, I think Arsenal have got Luton.
I'm
They'll
not
beat
saying the
them.
next round, but I'm saying going forward. Like I don't think playing
No,
Wolves is fun.
But going forward, Arsenal have got Luton. They'll beat them. Liverpool have got Sheffield United. They've beat them. Man City have got Villa. Tough game.
Well, yeah, obviously Villa have something to play for.
Yeah, but that's my point.
All right, you heard it from the man. Percentages. The computer says roughly Liverpool 50, City 30, and Arsenal 20. And that's rubbish.
Rubbish.
Don Hutchinson says Liverpool 50, City 30, Arsenal 20.
Exactly
And
the
that
same.
makes a lot of sense.